So Gornation updated their static bar.
This is the old one,
And this is the new one. So let's find out what the differences are. So Gornation is a German brand and we already checked out a lot of their products and actually we are a big fan. We also reviewed the old static bar before and we are very curious about the differences between the old and the new. So let's check it out. So first of all, it was very easy to assemble this one, just like the old version. Of course, with this one, you do have to put an extra bar on the bottom. So this takes a little bit more work, but it is very easy to do. And other than that, the screws on this one all are the same length. And with the former one, the screws on the side were actually a little bit shorter. And another thing is that these are actually black screws and I really like the look of that. The other ones were silver. And in this case, these are also topped off with a cap on top of the screws. And actually, because these screws are a little bit longer, the screws on the side actually, the caps don't actually fit exactly right. So we would like Gornation to change that. So just like the old one, I really like the look of this one. So the black powder coated steel is always a nice look and they have a nice logo on both sides. And besides that, the anti-slip feet also have an icon. So I really like the look of this one. So actually the dimensions of this bar are basically the same as the old version. So the length is 115 centimeters long and when it comes to the diameter, this one is actually 38 millimeters, as is the lower bar as well. And as you can see on the side, there are several increments, so you have 5 different options to change up the height of this bar. They are 7.5 centimeters apart, and actually you can go from 115 at the highest point to 85 centimeters at its lowest point. And when it comes to the low bar, of course, it is the same length as the top bar, so 115 centimeters, and the height of it is 13 centimeters. So we actually think it would be very nice if Gornation adds some extra holes on the side, on the bottom, so you can also put this bottom bar a little bit higher how you want, for instance, to do some incline push-ups. And lastly, the feet are actually 104 centimeters long. So what I'm most curious about when it comes to the new product is actually whether the bottom bar adds a lot of stability to this product. And besides that, I'm also curious whether that bar is sometimes in the way with exercise that you could do on the old version as well. But I'm also curious whether this bar actually adds a lot of exercise variety to this product. So actually what I notice immediately when I want to do a muscle up is that of course I would be sitting on the bar if I would do it like normally. You could of course sit like this on the floor, but I would just really prefer to be a little bit more to the back. But it is still very doable, and also you can do your straight bar dips. You would have to put your feet a bit more to the front if you want to do it like this. Of course the bar is a bit in the way, but it's not a problem for the exercise. And then the skin the cat is also doable. Right, if you do a race, maybe you touch the bar a bit, but it's not exactly in the way for it. So what we found when we reviewed the old version of the static bar was that a lot of exercise on the top of the bar were unstable. So let's try it out on the new one. All right, that feels way more stable than the old version. Nice. Yeah, there's a big difference here. Let's try it out on the old one. Yeah, so you definitely feel the difference. All right, so it is possible, but honestly, you definitely feel it a lot. And I think, for instance, when you want to learn planche, for instance, on a bar like this, it's much better to do it on the new version because that one is just way more stable. All right, so now I'm trying to move them sideways. And as you can see, this one really moves way less, and that's the new one compared to the old version. So basically, this bar is definitely much more stable, and also the grip of it is the same as the old version. And of course, if you need more grip, then you can use like some grip tape or you can use some chalk if you need to. But other than that, this bar, actually the lower one, is not in the way for lever-based exercise at all. Only maybe for muscle ups, for instance, but actually you could just take this bar out. It's basically like a bonus, and otherwise it would be exactly the same as the old version. So now let's find out what new exercises we get to do on the low bar. So of course this lower bar is very nice for doing your basics. So of course you get to do push-ups at all kinds of widths. So this is actually very nice. Let's try an L sit. Nice. So of course on here this feels much more stable. So also let's try an elbow lever. Nice. Yeah, of course, because this is so low to the floor, this is a super stable bar, so for that it's actually very nice. And of course then you also get to do some planche work, and because you have the high bar on here, you can also do some assisted work with some bands. So this is very nice. So one interesting option with this product is that you can actually leave in the low bar, but take out the top bar, and then actually you can also do some handstand work on it. Alright, so of course, even though the top bar is on the new version, very stable, of course you could put the bar lower, and like this, anything on the top of the bar is going to be even more stable. Of course, everything below the bar, it becomes quite narrow with, for instance, front lever stuff, and potentially you could take out the bottom bar and then it's going to be like the old version. But honestly, we wouldn't per se do that often, because over here, of course, you would have to use the tool to take out the screws, and actually we wouldn't do that mid-workout. So just like with the old version, of course you can combine this product with some resistance bands to work your way up to the more advanced exercise, like for instance front lever. But of course on this one, because you have the lower bar, you possibly could do a planche on there with the resistance band. But honestly, because I cannot do planche, I'm actually not sure how well it would work, but I have seen videos online, so probably this is a nice add-on. So before we conclude, we found out that 94% of our viewers don't actually subscribe. So subscribe so that we can make more and better reviews for you with more and more partners. So when it comes to the pricing, this bar, just like the old version, costs 150 euros. And actually it is a much more stable bar. So this is very nice. And actually you also have the bottom bar as an extra, which is also very nice. But the only thing that we didn't like is that it's kind of in the way when you're doing a muscle up. But actually there's a solution for that, because you can just basically take out the bottom bar and then it's not a problem anymore, and basically you have the old version then once again. But actually the bottom bar is very nice as a bonus, because you get to do extra exercises like your push-ups, for instance, at all kinds of widths. And one improvement that we would like Gornation to make is that if they put some extra holes on the side, you could also put the bottom bar at different heights, which would be very nice. And actually any exercise that you do on the bottom bar is going to be even more stable than when you do it on the top bar, even though that one is already very stable. And actually, if you take out the top bar, you even have the option to do some handstand on the bottom bar. So this is also very nice. So basically, we are very happy that Gornation did this update, and we can get you 10% off with our discount code CWW10. So click the links in the description or here, and then we'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.